Annyeonghaseyo, Nolu Sam is in the building. Last week, I gave you 5 best reasons why you should be teaching English in Korea. And this week, I'm going to be telling you about how you can come teach English in Korea through the EPIK program. So if you really want to come to Korea, then this is definitely a video you should watch. So stay tuned. In case you didn't know, EPIK stands for English Program in Korea, and it is a program by the Korean government to recruit English teachers from English-speaking nations to come and teach English in Korea. EPIK teacher recruitment processes take place twice a year, and that is for spring, which begins in March. The semester begins in March, and for fall, and the semester begins in September. So for spring application, applications start in August the previous year. So for 2020, applications will start August this year, and for fall, applications begin in February. So for fall 2019, applications are currently open, so you can apply twice, that is in fall and in spring. There are 2 ways which you can apply to EPIK, and that is you could either apply directly by yourself or you could use a recruitment agency. If you apply directly by yourself, information will come to you faster because there is no middleman. It's just you and EPIK, so you'll be communicating directly with your EPIK coordinator, and you'll also just be handling everything by yourself. If you do use a recruitment agency, which I highly recommend, then you would have them assist you with your application form, making sure that your application form is proper, assist you with the interview process, and also it also means that information will take some time to get to you because EPIK will communicate with the recruitment agency, and the recruitment agency will communicate with you. So let's get to the nitty-gritties of this application process. So initially you will need about 5 things, and that is a completed application form, 2 reference letters, a copy of your passport, and proof of schooling if you are from South Africa. If you are from South Africa, you will need to go to your schools and ask for proof of schooling, and that is to prove that you were primarily taught in English. It is very important because certain schools in South Africa are taught in Afrikaans, and as a result, EPIK doesn't want those teachers. Once your documents have been given a thumbs up, now you will have your interview. Now the interview can take place at the crazy hour, again depending on where in the world you are. For example, if you are in South Africa and South Africa is 7 hours behind South Korea, then your interview might take place at a crazy hour. That is because they have to work, they have to do the interviews during Korean working hours. An advantage of having a recruitment agency in this process is that I had my recruiter, my agency call me 30 minutes before the interview to check my lighting, to check my camera position, and just to check if I was good, like mentally, because you know how interviews are. But the interview in itself is very easy. One tip that I can give you about the interview is that you have to have your application form printed out and with you, and in addition to that, also make sure that you have a notepad to take notes. And that is because towards the end of the interview, they might ask you to make some minor changes to your application form or your lesson plan, so you need to have a pen and a paper to write these things down. Getting your interview results will take about 3 days, which will be the longest 3 days of your life, especially if you're an overthinker like me. After 3 days, you will get your interview results. You passed your interview! Congratulations! Nope, not yet. Passing your interview doesn't necessarily mean that you already have a job. It just means that you've passed your interview. Confusing, right? Yeah. Once you pass your interview, now you need to go through the final phase, and that is getting hard copies of all of your documents. Remember the 5 documents I mentioned earlier? Your application form, 2 reference letters, your proof of schooling, and a copy of your passport. Now everything has to be hard copy. In addition to those 5 documents, you will need other documents, which will be an apostilled copy of your degree. Now if you're in South Africa, the process is you need to have 2 copies of your degree certificate and take these 2 copies along with your original to the Department of Higher Education. Get a letter that confirms that your university is legit and it offers real degrees. Get that letter from the Department of Higher Education. Take that letter along with the copies of your degrees and the original. Take it to DICO, which is the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. That is where you will get your degree apostilled. You'll also need an apostilled criminal record check, or a background check as Americans call it. You also need to do this at the Department of International Relations and Cooperations if you are in South Africa. If you don't have your degree yet, say maybe you are wrapping up your final year in university and you don't have your degree by the time you need to send your documents, then you need to get a letter from your university that confirms that you will have graduated by the time you need to be in Korea. You also need to contact your university and have them mail you your sealed transcripts, or academic records as we call them back home. They need to be sealed, so do not open them. You need to send them still in the envelope with the stamp or whatever seal your university uses. In addition to that, you also need to send a copy of your TEFL certificate. There are 2 other optional documents that you may need to send, and that is proof of teaching experience. This is for people that have taught before and they want to get that extra 100K for their teaching experience. Also, this one you don't need to send to EPIK, you need to keep until you get to Korea and actually start working, and that is a tax clearance certificate. And this is used to exempt you from paying tax for the first 2 years of your teaching in Korea. But to summarize, the documents you will need are your EPIK application form printed and signed, a minimum of 2 reference letters, a copy of your passport, proof of schooling if you are in South Africa, sealed transcripts, apostilled degree, apostilled criminal record check, a copy of your TEFL certificate, a letter which serves as proof of teaching experience. And if you want all of that money in the first 2 years of your teaching, then you need to get that tax clearance certificate. Remember when I said if you pass your interview, it doesn't mean you have a job. It doesn't mean you have a job, and that is because if you delay sending your documents to Korea, then you might end up not having a job anyways. And that is because they operate on first come, first served basis at this point. Once you send your documents to Korea, you will now wait for your placement. Now, a placement will be a place where you will be working. It's not the school, it's just the region. So for example, if you chose Busan and they place you in Busan, they will tell you that you've been placed in Busan, but they won't tell you exactly where in Busan you will be placed. Once you've got your placement, you will get your contract soon after. And once you have your contract, you can now begin the visa application process. Applying for your visa is also a green light that things are looking good. At this point, you have a job. You just need to get your visa approved and then you can book your flight. Once you get to Korea, then you will need to attend orientation, which is about 8 or 9 days. I'm not 100% sure, but I won't even get into details of orientation in this video. And on the last day of orientation, the day before you're supposed to go, is when you will find out where in your city you will be and what schools you will teach. Obviously, you never know the situations of your schools until you get to your schools. And also, after orientation, the last day of orientation, you will get picked up by your co-teacher, and your co-teacher will take you to your apartment, and that is when you will find out what kind of apartment you have. Everything is a wait and everything is a surprise, and that is just the EPIK way. Guys, that is it for this video. If you have any questions, comments, or you feel like I left something out that is very important, then please leave it on the comments below. I know some people prefer to ask me questions privately. If you're one of those people, then please don't hesitate to get down on my DMs on Instagram. Other than that, please like and don't forget to subscribe on my channel so that you always know when I'm delivering something new. Until next week, Dinkum Hasa in Korea. Bye!